Previously, on Overcome Babylon.
I've worked on climate change for 25 years.
I worked on climate change since 73.
So you
Just to
worked on
tell
it
you,
longer than
because
I
I was the person who gave the Club of Rome the first big platform. Because I was the person who gave the Club of Rome the first big platform.
The covenant made with many has already come and gone, and mainstream Christianity didn't even notice. It began on June 5th, 1972, and guess what? 49 years times 360 days per year gives you 17,640 days, and you will arrive at September 21st, 2020. 49 years later, exactly 49 years later, it just so happens that the covenant made with many ended. 2/3, by the way, that's a majority. 2/3 is a majority. 2/3 of the global population are now committed because 156 economies signed up for the Gavi Alliance. A new covenant made with many began. The UN General Assembly met on September 21st and adopted a resolution, and it was the strengthening of the United Nations system, which also coincided with the Gavi, with the rollout of the jab and the whole nine, okay? What I'm seeing here is that just a few days before the abomination of desolation, literally 3 days before the abomination, you got the biggest movers and shakers on the entire global scale meeting. Perhaps they're getting ready for what we know is coming. All right, welcome back to Overcome Babylon. I'm Abraham, as always, and by God's grace, what we know is what time it is. We know that we are in the 70th week of Daniel right now. This is what it looks like. We are in the 70th week of Daniel 100% authoritatively. I can tell you that because on this channel, on this podcast, you have to have watched episodes 2 through 7, where I lay the entire foundation of the 70 weeks prophecy with history, archaeology, research, the whole nine. And either that or you have to have read the first 6 chapters of my book, Bible Prophecy Secrets. By the way, it's free. Link in the description. You can get this for free. How many prophecy end times guys give away their stuff for free? I'm giving it away for free, okay? Because I'm not in this for the money like a lot of guys are, okay? But in order for us to have an educated conversation about what we're going to be talking about today, you have to have a foundation in the things that I've already been breaking down from a pure Hebrew analysis of the Word of God, all right? So we are in the last days. We are in the 70th week of Daniel. I can authoritatively tell you that. And a lot of Christian YouTube, basically 99% of Christian YouTube, even though some of them mean well, some of them are just total fakers, fake gurus, but some of them mean well. They don't tell you we're in the last days authoritatively 100% with biblical proof, hermeneutics, and the whole 9 yards, okay? But I can, because we've done the homework here on this channel. So with that understanding then, I can actually have an educated conversation about this with you. The 10 kings are here. It's not that they're coming sometime in the future or they might be here. No. They are here. They're called the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and now South Africa. And there's way more joining. And I'm going to show you why this is so significant today. But before we do, let's just look at what I have here, okay? March 11th, 2020. We all know that the COVID pandemic was a big deal. But what most people fail to realize is why it was such a big deal from a prophetic, biblical perspective. You see that I have the airplane there, no traveling. Okay, that was the what Daniel recorded in his prophecy. Okay, that's what Daniel actually told us about the middle of the 70th week. Again, the middle of the 70th week that we're living in right now, it was the year 2020. Go figure. That's exactly what it says right here in Daniel 12:11. From the time that the daily is taken away and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Again, that word daily sacrifice, you see that italicized? That's not in the Hebrew language right there. That doesn't even exist in the Hebrew language. The English translators inserted that because they had a bias when they translated those things, okay? Daniel 8:11, he, this prince, right? We're going to talk about the prince today. So what it's saying is, he, Klaus Schwab, exalted himself as high as the Secretary General of the United Nations, and by Klaus Schwab in the Great Reset, all the daily, the tamid, that's what the word is in Hebrew, the daily was taken away. The ability to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, the ability to go to church, the ability to do business as life as usual, everything was shut down, and the sanctuary, the places of worship, were cast down worldwide. And guess what? That's the same exact thing we saw in Daniel 9:27. That he, this prince, would confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. In the middle of another week, that's it. the middle of the final 70th week of Daniel, there's going to be an end of sacrifice and offering. By the way, that actually does appear in the Hebrew language. Actually, sacrifice and offering. And what it means is the ability to give your annual sacrifice to appear in Jerusalem 3 times a year is required by the Torah for unleavened bread, Pentecost, and Sukkot, tabernacles. You had to appear 3 times a year in Jerusalem. And oh yeah, you got to bring your gift offering freely, your free gift offering. That's what that means. It was sealed up. Again, it was sealed up for the righteous. Only the righteous would be able to understand these things, the righteous who understand God's commandments. And then there's some stuff about the abomination of desolation again. So when we go back to that, September 21st, that was the end of the covenant made with many. September 21st, 2020, and Agenda 2030 and Gavi all of a sudden got rolled in, and you had a renewed Agenda 2030 covenant that was accelerated, that did away with the old covenant, the original covenant that was made with many in June 5th, 1972 in Stockholm, Sweden. I talked about this all in the very last episode. I talked about it in my book. Make sure you check all that out, all right? But now we're getting into August 22nd, 2023, which is literally a month before the abomination of desolation. Remember, I just showed you this, but from the time that the daily is taken away on March 11th, 2020, to the abomination of desolation, there'll be 1,290 days. If you go from March 11th, 2020 to September 22nd, 2023, that is 1,290 days. And so we know the exact time of the abomination of desolation, and it just so happens that right a month before that's going to happen, you got the BRICS nations meeting. This is so significant. People are starting to talk about it. BRICS. What's going on with BRICS? Why is this important? A lot of people out there are speculating, oh, are these the 10 kings? And yeah, they are the 10 kings. We're going to talk about that today, okay? Everybody's starting to figure this out. And once the abomination of desolation happens and Jerusalem's burned with fire, everybody's going to figure this out because they'll be like, oh my gosh, we must have been lied to somewhere about prophecy because this wasn't supposed to happen. I thought this was God's blessed Holy Land people, the regathering of all 12 tribes. Oh my gosh, what's going on? So anyways, we'll talk about that in a moment. But here's this article from fortune.com. How long will the dollar, right, the US dollar, last as the world's default currency? The BRICS nations are gathering in South Africa this August with this on their agenda, right? This idea on their agenda. And they're going to be talking about a little bit more than that. Listen to me. Today, we actually get a backstage pass. We actually get a VIP access to the throne room of God. And we actually get to understand why he's orchestrating what he's about to orchestrate with the 10 kings. We actually get to understand why he's doing the things that he's doing. This is unprecedented. There's very few times in history we can open up our Bible and know exactly why he's doing something on the world geopolitical stage. And BRICS, in case you didn't know, originally it was BRIC, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, but then South Africa got added. And BRICS really, it's just this term was coined in 2001 by Goldman Sachs, according to this Wikipedia article. But these are just the fast-growing economies that are really just a counter power to the Western establishment. And what's obviously becoming of it is that it's actually fulfilling Bible prophecy. See, this has been around for a while. This whole talk of BRICS has been around for a while, but now if we just move down here, you got all these member countries. You got all these people, these different groups applying for membership, from Algeria to Argentina to Bahrain to Egypt to Ethiopia to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. All these countries are now applying for membership. And when we go to this summit that's going to be happening 30 days before the abomination of desolation, again, this is so significant. If we go to this summit, this is actually the webpage, the official South African webpage. This is the 15th annual BRICS summit from 22nd to 24th of August, 2023. And it's going to be in Johannesburg. And gee, I wonder what they're going to be talking about. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to open up our Bibles here in a moment, and I'm going to show you what is going to be going on behind the scenes, because we're here. We're here now. We get to actually witness prophecy being fulfilled right before our very eyes. But real quick, one thing that the BRICS did is they put together, first thing you do when you do an alliance, right? The first thing you do, one of the first things you do, yeah, you shake hands militarily, you guarantee each other's protection, but really you want to have a financial institution. You want to have banking in common. And so what they did is they formed the New Development Bank with this humongous tower in Shanghai. And so here you got it. This is what it looks like, right? It looks, in Shanghai, China, you got the headquarters called the New Development Bank. This is where the BRICS are doing their business. This is where they're literally going to be setting up an alternative currency to the US dollar. The US dollar eventually will come to nothing. It will come to ruin. It will collapse, because these guys are coming in with a gold-backed currency. That is God's money, gold-backed. That's the rumor anyway. We'll see how it plays out. It looks like that's what's going to be happening, though. There's a lot of support, a lot of evidence on the table that yeah, it's coming. And that's what the New Development Bank looks like. What do they have to say? What are they all about? Let's check out what they are saying about themselves on the official website. This is the video that if you go straight to their website, you'll see this right away. Let's just watch this together.
New Development Bank. Created by BRICS countries.
And so, what are you noticing some things on screen here? It flashes on the screen at you. Flashes on the screen. There's this Sustainable Development Goal number 11 in the yellow, right? And there's all this Sustainable Development Goal, this and that, 13 with a little I. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Why are they promoting the SDGs of Agenda 2030? Why is the New Development Bank on the literal front page of their website? Why are they promoting this, which is what we talked about very last episode, the SDG 2023 summit, that's going to be happening literally just 3 days before the Abomination of Desolation. You have all these world leaders meeting, and let's just look at them one more time. The 17 SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Why are these things appearing on the New Development Bank video? Climate action, sustainable cities and communities. Why are these things appearing on the front page of this website? What's going on here? Are they against the UN? Are they like who's against who right now? And I think this is the biggest question for a lot of people. It's like, what's going on? Are BRICS trying to come against the UN and the current power structure? Are they trying to take it over? Are they competing with the West? Are they trying to join the West and then take it over? Like, what's going on? Like, it doesn't make any sense. When you look at the SDGs, the number 17 is the number of a Psyop. QAnon was a Psyop. This is a Psyop. This is all psychological warfare. This is all optics. These aren't actually the things that they're promoting. They're not promoting this. You got to go to look at their documents. I've done this in my book extensively. Again, you got to go check out Bible Prophecy Secrets, Chapter 5. I break this down. I break down what they mean by sustainable. What do they mean by environmentally conscious? What do they mean? What does this all really mean? Again, I would love to get into more details on it here, but I can't for obvious reasons. Again, I need to quote this more often, but 2 Corinthians 11:14 says, and no wonder, this is what Paul says, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works. What we're being told here is that Satan transforms himself into an angel of light. You have to understand this. This is paramount for understanding the SDGs. This is paramount for understanding the 17, right? The Psyop SDGs. Number 17 is very significant, my friend. Very significant. So that's what's going on. The 10 Kings want to actually take over the UN, and now we're going to get into that a little bit, okay? Because we talked about this. The World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab initiated the covenant made with many. It lasts from 1972 all the way until 2020. And he was the one who was behind it. Again, the World Economic Forum, in case you didn't know, was launched in 1971. This has been going on for a while. And what Revelation is telling us is that let's talk about the woman. Let's talk about the 10 kings real quick. Okay, I know this is very deep. Again, you want a deeper dive, you gotta check out my book. This is what it says, Revelation 17, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of the abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. This is what it says. The 10 horns, I'm just going to skip, okay? The 10 horns which you saw in the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is the great city, which reigns over the kings of the earth. Again, people are very confused about this. Great city. There's only one great city mentioned 10 times in the book of Revelation. It's always Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. It doesn't reign over the people directly. It reigns over the kings, and the kings rule over the people. It is a deep state shadow government system run out of Jerusalem, headquartered by the Zionists in Jerusalem, and it reigns over the kings of the earth. And this great city is about to come to nothing. It's about to get conquered. You literally are reading this right now. This great city, the woman, the great city, is about to be burned with fire. This is literally what we're witnessing with BRICS getting together in Johannesburg. They're literally going to have in their hearts to fulfill God's purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, to the final beast power of history. We are literally getting a backstage pass to witness the words of God being fulfilled right in front of our very eyes. How exciting is that? Isn't that crazy? Because now we're going to get into this topic. The times, time, and halftime. Times, time, and halftime. And the 10-horn beast. What's going on here? Let's take a look at it, because I made a prediction about a year ago, and again, I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to let you be the judge here. This is what it says in Daniel 7:23. The fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on the earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings. We just read about that, right? Who shall arise from this kingdom? And another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and he shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, shall intend to change times and law. The saints shall be given into his hand for times, time, and half a time. No, for times, and half a time. Time being 1 year, times being 2 years, and half a time being half a year. So 3.5 years total if you add it all up together. That's what the Hebrew says. So that's actually a parallel to Revelation 11, verse 1. Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and an angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there, but leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they shall tread the holy city, Jerusalem, the great city, right? That great city is being mentioned again, underfoot for 42 months. Same thing as time times half a time. So when we look at Revelation 11, Daniel 7, what is going on with the times, time, half a time? Again, I talked about this a year ago. Let me just go ahead and play that clip from a year ago, because I was under the impression that Klaus Schwab is that pompous mouth speaking pompous words in Daniel 7, that fourth kingdom. There's a beast that rises out of it. I made originally the assumption that it is Klaus Schwab, but here's what I said. Let me go ahead and play the clip. Okay, let's play it. All right, welcome back to Overcome Babylon. I'm Abraham Okeda. So far, we have gone all the way from the beginning of the 70 Shabua, the 70 weeks in English, right? That's how people commonly know it as. It doesn't make sense to add the times, and half a time to the actual date of the abomination of desolation. I'm saying you have to add it to the date where the COVID pandemic was declared on March 11th, 2020, which brings us again, one more time, August 23rd, 2023, which is exactly 1 month before the abomination of desolation. So it appears that something's going to happen from now until August 23rd. Something's going to happen on August 23rd, where Klaus in the World Economic Forum something's going to happen. They're going to lose their grip on power, and I'm actually really excited. I'm looking with anticipation for what's going to happen there. So if we take the 1,260, we add it to March 11th, 2020, then we get August 23rd. 2023, which is exactly the meeting of BRICS, which is the 10 kings. So we literally get the 10 kings meeting. I don't know, is that the way that the scripture is meant to be interpreted, or do we add the times and half a time to the abomination of desolation? Because when you do that, then all of a sudden it becomes a little different. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't exactly a 1,260 day period. It's shorter than that, but that makes sense, because that's why maybe Daniel used times and half a time, because Yeshua said that the days would be shortened during the Great Tribulation, because if those days weren't shortened, then no flesh would survive. So there's 2 theories here. Let me just wrap it all up, because there's 2 theories. Either we add the 1,260 days, assuming that's what it is, times half a time, we add those days to March 11th, 2020, and we get to August 23rd, 2023, which just so happens to be the meeting of the BRICS nations in Johannesburg, and they're getting their hearts ready with one mind to overthrow the whore, Mystery Babylon, and burn her flesh with fire literally a month later. Or we add the 1,260, which technically is not 1,260, it's times half a time, it's 42 months. We add 42 months to the end of September 22nd, 2023, which is the abomination of desolation, and guess what? we cannot go exceed beyond the 2300 evenings and mornings. So June 28th, 2026 is the cutoff. Therefore, it's not actually a 1,260-day period, but it is a 1,010-day period because it's shortened, because Yeshua said the days will be shortened. And so actually, it's an accelerated time period with 24 days in a month. And that is actually what the prophecy is talking about, that there's one final beast power that is going to assert itself on the world stage. And that is what is given dominion for time times half a time. I think that is what it's really talking about. However, it is interesting to consider that BRICS is meeting exactly, if you were to add 1,260 to March 11th, 2020, it is interesting that the BRICS are meeting right on that date. Let's just be open. Let's consider what might happen. Again, I just wanted to present this to you today because I think it was very, very interesting. And again, you got to break loose from the mainstream complacent and downright ignorant mentality of mainstream Christianity, of modern Christianity. You got to rise up. And one thing that we're going to be doing here in Overcome Babylon that's radically different from all those other channels out there, what we're going to be doing this year in Overcome Babylon here, we're going to be observing the holy days of the Most High God. And it just so happens, that Feast of Trumpets, we're going to observe that on August 17th. Again, that's dependent on whether or not we see the new moon. But then Day of Atonement is going to be the 27th, right around there. And it just so happens that in the middle of those dates, in the middle is actually going to be this BRICS meeting, which is very significant, very highly significant. And so we have to consider these things as we move forward. And those who don't observe the holy days of the Most High God this year, He already told us a long time ago, you're going to be cut off. So observe His holy days. This year, our lives depend on this. Our lives are so, oh my gosh. If there were ever a time to be like Nineveh and observe, in this case, Nineveh observed the Day of Atonement. That's why they fasted and everything. It was the Day of Atonement, in case you didn't know, Yom Kippur. But if there was ever a time to be Nineveh with Jonah preaching at us, right? Preaching to us, telling us, hey man, 40 days and Nineveh's going to be overthrown. This is it. This is it right here. This is a time to be like Nineveh, fasting and weeping and praying and repenting. This year, more than any other time, it's always important to do God's holy days to His appointed times. And more than any other time, this year is so critically important to observing His holy days. And I'm telling you, you got to be watching for that 7th month new moon. Join the Telegram. I have announcements on that. I put out announcements and so forth. 7th month new moon, Day of Atonement's coming up. And I believe this is going to be one of the most important days of our entire lives. So with that said, I'll leave it with that. Shalom, blessings to you. Yeshua be with you. And let's rise up above, like I always say, above this crooked and perverse generation. Let's do it.